Does anyone else feel like that the amount of guidance for the PPP that's come out in the past month has been overwhelming? It's hard to tell what's opinion, what's fact, and it changes daily. Well, I'm right there with you. Hi, my name is Chris Passmore and I'm with CPA Corner. So earlier this week, the SBA and the Department of Treasury issued an updated list of frequently asked questions. So I thought we would take this opportunity and highlight some of those FAQs with guidance directly from the SBA. So this is not opinion. This is not our assumption of what the PPP was intended to be. This is guidance directly from the SBA. Various terms, who's eligible, what's forgiveness, and even talk about this new safe harbor that has been released this week. That's exciting news for small and medium-sized business. So let's jump in. So frequently asked questions per the SBA. The CARES Act excludes from the definition of payroll costs any employee compensation in excess of an annual salary of $100,000. Does that exclusion apply to all employee benefits of monetary value? The answer to that is no. The exclusion of compensation in excess of $100,000 annually applies only to cash compensation and does not apply to non-cash benefits such as group health insurance. Do PPP loans cover paid sick leave? The answer is yes. PPP loans cover payroll costs, and that includes the cost for employee vacation, parental, family, medical, and sick leave. Should payments that an eligible borrower made to an independent contractor or sole proprietor be included in calculation of the eligible borrower's payroll costs? The answer to that one's no. Actually, they have they've announced a lot of guidance on this one in the past. And to give a little background on this one, if you claim that amount and then the independent contractor claimed the amount too on their own personal PPP, it would be double counting. The next question, the amount of forgiveness of a PPP loan depends on the borrower's payroll costs over an 8-week period. When does that 8-week period begin? Well, the answer is the 8-week period begins on the date the lender makes the very first disbursement and that money is in your bank account. Do businesses owned by large companies with adequate sources of liquidity to support the business's ongoing operation qualify for a PPP loan? The answer is, before submitting the PPP application, all borrowers should review carefully the required certification that current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support the ongoing operation of the applicant. Borrowers must make this certification in good faith, taking into account their current business activity and their ability to access other sources of liquidity sufficient to support their ongoing operation that is not significantly detrimental to their business. The next question, this is where it starts to get interesting. We're talking about forgiveness. Will SBA review individual PPP loan files? And the answer is yes. The SBA reminded all borrowers of an important certification required to obtain a PPP loan. To further ensure PPP loans are limited to eligible borrowers in need, the SBA has decided, in consultation with the Department of the Treasury, that it will review all loans in excess of $2 million, in addition to other loans it's deemed appropriate. So I want to emphasize that point. That's PPP loans received in excess of $2 million. Will a borrower's PPP loan forgiveness amount be reduced if the borrower laid off an employee, offered to rehire the same employee, but that employee declined the offer? This is good news. The answer to this one is no. So you won't be reduced in your forgiveness if you offer to rehire the employee and they choose to stay at home. And so this last one is particularly relevant to your small and middle market companies. This is regards to the safe harbor provision you may have heard about this week. And so the question is, how will SBA review borrowers' required good faith certification concerning the necessity of their loan? When submitting a PPP application, all borrowers must certify in good faith that current economic uncertainty makes this loan request necessary to support the ongoing operations of the applicant. SBA, in consulting with the Department of the Treasury, has determined that the following safe harbor will apply to SBA's review of PPP loans with respect to this issue. This is where it gets interesting. Any borrower, together with its affiliates, that received PPP loans with an original principal amount of less than $2 million will be deemed to have made the required certification concerning the necessity of the loan request in good faith. SBA has determined that this safe harbor is appropriate because borrowers with loans below this threshold are generally less likely to have had access to adequate sources of liquidity in the current economic environment than borrowers that obtained larger loans. In addition, given the large volume of PPP loans, this approach will enable SBA to conserve its finite audit resources and refocus its review on larger loans where compliance may yield higher returns. This is referencing loans in excess of $2 million. And the final piece of good news is, if the SBA determines that in the course of its review that a borrower lacked the adequate basis for the required certification concerning the necessity of the loan, SBA will seek repayment of the outstanding PPP loan balance and will inform the lender that the borrower is not eligible for loan forgiveness. But if the borrower repays the loan after receiving notification from the SBA will not pursue administrative enforcement or referrals to other agencies based on this determination with respect to the certification concerning the necessity of the loan request. So that basically says that if they determine that you did not need this loan, you can pay that amount back and then the procedure is over. There's no further penalties or actions brought against you. So I want to spend a minute and just talk about this last question about the safe harbor and the applicability to companies with loans less than $2 million. So the good news here is it's implied, I'll admit this is part opinion, it's implied that the SBA will not be auditing and further scrutinizing these loans under $2 million regarding the essential need by that company. That doesn't mean that the bank won't audit the validity of the expenses, but the actual determination of whether you needed that money may fall under this safe harbor and will not be further scrutinized. That is not crystal clear in the FAQ, but I have read from many sources that's the general takeaway. So hopefully there'll be more information on that coming out soon. So in the comments below, I'm going to include a link to this entire FAQ document. There are 46 specific FAQs. I only highlighted the ones that I thought were relevant to most of my clients and colleagues. So you have access to the full FAQ. And again, just to emphasize, this is information directly from the SBA and the Department of Treasury. There is absolutely no opinion or estimation in this at all. If you'd like more information or if you have any questions regarding what we've talked about in this video, please leave a message in the comment and I'll reply. And I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.